Let me officially start and open our evening tonight. A warm welcome to our special edition Impact Talk, Red Carpet for Sustainability. As you could see in our invitation, today's session is all about concrete solutions which address the macro challenge of providing for data privacy and data empowerment in different settings. And I'm very pleased to welcome representatives of our three impact groups who were collaborating now since early March on three very different projects. So Nevena, Oscar, Ondrej, Anam, and Tina, we're really pleased to have you with us today. And for those who don't know me yet, I am Marianne Schörling. I'm head of stakeholder engagement at GemLabs, and I will be co-moderating our session with Jörn Erbguth, our head of technology insight. Thank you, Jörn. And also with Leonie Achtnich, our head of communications. Hi, Leonie. Great that you are all with us tonight. Let me share a few words about our Geneva Macro Labs group. A little bit of promo at the beginning. So we are a Geneva-based intellectual catalyst, a think and do tank that works to support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Our mission is to shape international collaboration, but also to build capacity and accelerate the implementation of sustainability goals. And as our name suggests, we are a think and do tank. We are combining the thinking and doing for making sustainability actionable. And we are looking into how new technologies can support a sustainable future. And it is in this context that we host webinars, conferences, trainings, and leverage intellectual potential around us. So here you see an overview of the team and the moderators behind this innovation cycle. And if you are interested to learn more about Geneva Macro Labs, you just need to take your phone now, photograph the QR code, and it will lead you directly to our LinkedIn profile. Why LinkedIn profile? Because there you get a good overview of what's happening. What's happening currently at in our community, and you see there are a lot of different things that we are happy to share. That brings me directly to our today's agenda. As I've mentioned before, today we will have three teams that will present the work of the last months. Leonie will explain to you briefly of the Geneva impACTs initiative, but a final word, Geneva impACTs is a new venture builder approach that we started 2 years ago, and we're really keen and happy to see how this experiment is evolving, and we're really keen to see how it will be evolving in the future. So Leonie, I'll turn over to you. You will share a couple of words about Geneva impACTs, and then we will already provide the floor to our teams.
Yes, thank you, Marianne, and welcome from my side. So I will be talking about Geneva impACTs briefly. Geneva impACTs is an initiative of Geneva Macro Labs, and using collective intelligence, we develop projects that focus on sustainable impact together with a huge number of different stakeholders, and of course, the amazing community that is partly also here tonight. So our innovation cycle, our innovation journey of 2022 focuses on data privacy. You might have seen it. The three groups all have chosen projects around data privacy or sharing data online. And as you can see on the slide, the innovation journey is currently in the process of almost being presented to the jury. So the groups formed out of the community in a hackathon earlier this year. They have then spent the last weeks and months debating and forming the project, being guided by experts, by us, but most of all coming up with all this innovation by themselves and shaping it into the project that you will hear today. And they are now basically giving you the pitch that they will present in about 2 weeks' time to a jury. So they will be very curious, I think, to hear your feedback, and we are very curious to see what you will say about the 3 projects. So for today, we will hear one after the other, and then there will be a short Q&A where you will have the chance to give them a feedback and maybe ask some questions. This is all about Geneva Impact for now. If you're interested, you should come to the website and always write us an email. But for now, I suggest we really start with the first project, because I assume you're all very curious to hear what these groups have been developing during the past few weeks and months. And I will give over to Jörn, who will be moderating the first group. Jörn, the mic is yours.
Thank you. I'm honored to welcome you also to the presentation of our 3 focus groups. And we will start with the first focus group. And this first focus group developed the concept of an online game. But before telling you too much about this project, I will call on Nevena Pejkova to show us her slides and explain us what they have been designing. Nevena, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hello, everyone. We're excited to present you our project. We are a group of students from Geneva University, Master Students in Responsible Management, and we worked on that idea. I will speak on behalf of my team, and now I will share my screen with you. So our idea is a digital game that educates children about data privacy and cybersecurity issues. What is the problem that we want to address is that young children are exposed to inappropriate content at a very early age. The issue that our research outlined are the following. As you can see, they become victims of cyberbullying or become in contact with fake profiles at very early age. They are sharing information to strangers. They might be in a fraud situation due to password leak or due to financial fraud. Why now we should create this game?
To interrupt you, it's not so easy to understand you. Could you check your microphone?
Yes, do you hear now?
It's a bit better.
Maybe I should speak louder, I'm sorry. Okay, do you want to repeat if it was not okay?
Maybe yes, that would be great, Nevena. Thank you so much.
Okay, the problem that we see is that the children are exposed to inappropriate content from a very early age. And the 5 issues that we want to address with that game are cyberbullying online, fake profiles, being in contact with fake profiles, sharing information to strangers, being in a fraud situation due to password leak or financial fraud. What is the solution that we offer? It's a game that is playable and interactive with the children. Most of the education in Swiss schools happens through leaflets or 2 hours per semester lecture developed by the teacher. We want to empower them on the consequences of their actions online in a controlled risk environment and to create connections, meaningful connections in their minds through the selection of new games that we have created for that game. Why now is the other question. Now the cybersecurity education becomes even more important for younger children. They are victims of cyberbullying at earliest at the age of 10 or in contact with strangers online at the age of 9. On the other hand, the education on that matter starts at the age of 12. Thus, we see a gap between the real exposure to data privacy risks and the beginning of the trainings in school. This is exactly the niche for our product. The game is more closer to the children's way of learning. It's the gamification approach of education that is more engaging. The game has characteristics of being sticky and it will stay with the children even outside the school, whereas one lecture cannot have the same effect. The game is replayable and have a competitive element where the children could compete one to another. With that approach, the good habits will be repeated, and we believe that this will create good habits for the future of these children. This is our target market, children between 8 and 12, because they're already technically skilled to use electronic devices, however, not prepared for the risks of the digital world. Our research showed that they create their first social media accounts at the age of 10 to 12, and our product goal is to prepare them for the safe use. We have two main reasons to believe that this is important, because they will spend more and more important parts of their life into the digital world. And on the other hand, they're at high risk of psychological trauma if they're exposed to negative experience at that early age. Speaking of the market, we see that in Switzerland, there are more than 200,000 children at that age that I just quoted, and 63,000 of them own smartphones. So the potential is huge to use it privately and publicly at schools. However, if we expand on the European Union market, there are more than 22 million children at that age. How does our product look? It consists first of creation of avatar that could be upgraded with points that are earned during the game. And we have selected 3 mini games to present how it could look. The first one is creating a password that is secure. The second one is experience of creation and interaction with social media account. And the third one is a rumor game. The password game consists of choosing the right symbols and letters that are needed to create a secure password by avoiding the Trojan horses or the other threats on your way. It's for time and fun. They should collect the symbols, however, to remember the password because it will be needed in the next steps of the game. The second game is a creation of social media account with interaction between the platform and the children by choosing what to post, to who to speak, who to follow, and what information to share. At the same time, they will be advised on the consequences of their action by a digital friend that will share what could be the positive or the negative outcomes of the game. It has at the end a positive and safe exit if they play it in the right way. This is a rumor game that is presenting the risks of cyberbullying in a safer environment. This is a small village where a nasty rumor was spread and one of the members of the community was excluded. And the child should investigate who spread the rumor, was it fake or not, and how to deal with such situations in the real life. What is our go-to-market strategy? First, we want to have B2B deals with schools, public or private schools, starting with the private because they have independent budgeting and more flexible with the adoption of new practices. However, targeting public schools is very important because the scope is much larger and they have much more opportunities to present the game to a wider amount of children. However, this will need partnership with NGOs and associations that support children's rights to achieve the approval. The other channel is B2C, where the game could be downloaded from application stores on private devices. With this product, we target the parents of the children that want to educate their children in fun way, that already buy licenses for different applications, educational, on their private devices. The first market, as I mentioned, is the Swiss market. There is advantage of having of many official languages. We plan to have it in English, French, Italian, and German. In that way, it will be easily convertible to European market. We had a look over the competition and we identified that there are different games on that matter. However, for example, D-Souk is targeting adults or teenagers and it's longer and difficult to play. Fabula Games is also targeting children, but it's also difficult and long to play. And we think that Datopia is at the bliss point between fun and education because we want to put the fun at the beginning, and the learning to happen effortless and without the notice of children, and to be engaged with them and to be replayable because it's fun. I hope you liked our project, and thank you very much for your opinions. Be safe and play hard.
Thank you, Nevena. This was a great presentation, and I guess there will be lots of questions. You also delivered quite some additional materials, so you have been quite busy preparing the concept. So does somebody from the audience have a question concerning this online game to raise awareness for privacy, against cyberbullying and other things to avoid as growing kids? So feel free to raise your hand or to post your question, whatever is. I see Costa has raised a hand.
Thank you, Jörn. Can I ask just, can I ask question after all three presentations or after each presentation?
We can have some discussion after all three presentations, but we would like to have a discussion already after each one too, because the topics are quite different.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you for the presentation. I liked it very much. I have read it before this meeting, and I like the idea. I like the idea behind this project, and what is the purpose of the project. It is very comprehensive, very well understood by the audience, I suppose, by not only by me. I have a question that I want to raise to all three projects, not only to this one. And this question relates with regard to the development of the software. What is the team's ownership of the software? Whether you will develop the software or you will somehow outsource the software to other party, to third party, and if so, how are you going to control the expenses with regard to software development, and whether the software development really meets your objectives, the objectives of the project team? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. We developed it from the business point of view and creating the design of the game, but we need to outsource the exact coding and development of the software or the application, so it will be external. However, in our pipeline, we have prototype, so not full development of the game, and early testing to see how it's adopted by the children or by the teacher. Is it educative enough, or how the functions are working? And there is an option for corrective measures. So this is the way to see if it's going to satisfy our needs and also children's needs. So this is the first stage of the development, the prototype.
So I guess it's as with many startups, you look for contractors, for freelancers to develop software, and then you have an agile software development process, which is tightly integrated to be able to control what the software will be doing, to give feedback at an early stage to avoid detours. Are there more questions? Maybe questions about the target audiences?
There's a question in the chat here. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. There's a question. For the use of social media, is the minor age a problem? In some countries, theoretically, you should declare to be age 18 plus. Is this aspect considered? I don't think you're required to be 18 plus to play an online game. Maybe Michelle, can you explain what kind of requirement there is to be able to play an online game, an educational online game?
Yeah. So first, I want to congratulate for the presentation and the clear of the topic. Everything is just a minor concern because it was mentioning using Instagram, for instance, and if I remember, where to register in Instagram, you should be 18 plus age. I'm not 100% sure, but much probably you should declare something like that. So I was just wondering whether such formal or legal aspects are ever considered in general.
So the research, we spoke with children and teachers that are in public schools with that group age between 8 and 12. And they have social media accounts, they have Instagram, they have Facebook. Even they need to click a button to declare you're over 18, they have the account. And this was one of the feedback from the children. That's why we lowered the age a little bit. At 13, they all have social media accounts and they would prefer to know how to use it and what to do and what not to do before creating the accounts. So it's not a mock, it will be not exactly Instagram, it will imitate the atmosphere in a social media network where you decide what to share and what not. So it's not like a mock because you have real interactions, but this was based on the feedback that they prefer to have this before creating the first accounts.
So Michelle, does this answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
We have another question that goes into a similar direction. Julia Biselli says, is the social media game based on use of real apps, or is it a specific game you will develop? So maybe Julia, you want to add something to this question? No,
yeah, sorry. Sorry, I was on mute. No, basically it's already answered that it's not quite a mock test, but a imitation of a real app. So my question was more like, because today children, as it was said, possesses this kind of accounts on TikTok or Instagram or whatever you already when they're like 11, 12. So maybe when they are taught how to use them, it would be better to do it directly on the apps because they're already using that same app. So that was my question, but it was basically answered. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, there's a question. Some parents might ask. I managed to keep my kid away from social media, and now you're telling them how to use it. Of course, it's always good to teach kids to know the risk and know of course the opportunities of a system. But what would you answer to a parent that says, well, I don't want my kids to be taught to better use social media, or to use social media in a better way?
The main point is to use social media in a safer way, not in a better way.
Okay.
So this is always relevant. And on one hand, they could decide, for example, at what age to download the application and to offer it to their children. If they don't want to do it between 8 and 12, of course, they can do it on 13 or 14 years of age. It's on choice of the parent, but the main goal is safer use.
Would this be an argument against the use in schools? Or is it like sex education where some parents also would like the kids to wait a bit longer, and at the same time it's very good to teach them at an early stage because they will make their experiences anyway?
That's very relevant. And the other thing is sharing their social media experience videos and TikTok videos will happen in the school anyway, between themselves in the free time. We cannot stop them for doing it, and that's why we wanted to point out that they're already exposed to that environment, and it will be more and more important because this is Generation Z. their life will become part of the digital world.
Okay.
You might delay a little bit, but it's not possible to escape it.
Yeah, I think we have our time is up for group number 1. Thank you very much for your presentation. Please give Nevena a hand of applause. And I hand over to Marianne for the next group.
Thank you, Jörn, and also thank you, Nevena. I think you've done a great job to represent your group. There were many more people involved, and it's great that you took on the challenge to present the comprehensive work that you have been doing. Thank you for that. And please send our best regards to the rest of the team. And as Jörn said, we are now moving forward to the next group, the group on the e-voting app. It's a solution that has been worked on for the last 2.5 months as well, that has a blockchain component. We had a group here that had quite some people, excuse me, joining in with expert knowledge from different fields. We had, for example, somebody from the Estonia e-voting community who provided some valuable input, and a couple of other experts that joined the group. Today it's 2 representatives who will now share with you what they have been working on. I had the pleasure to follow the group, and now I will give the floor to Oscar and Ondrej. Both worked on different parts of the solution, and you will see that this is a complex endeavor, but I believe one that has a lot of potential. Ondrej, I think that you will be starting. I will stop my screen sharing now and will give you the floor.
Thank you, Marianne. So I'm starting my screen. Okay, so we went to we started the project with the blockchain e-voting, and our project was named as Track, Trace, and Trust, which might be a little bit of killing or going against each other, but we will show how we can achieve track, trace, and trust with an e-voting system. We split the presentation in a couple of sections based on the lean canvas, and so we start on with the current situation and the potential alternatives. So if currently a paper-based voting system, which is expensive, we'll show the numbers then also later on. Also, you have the issues of mail voting if you're not at home or in social or healthcare, hospitals abroad, which means you want to vote, but you have to go to healthcare, you have to go to hospital and stay there, and you have not the chance to vote. So the participation rates are going down all the time in most of the countries. Elections are being questioned. Then there are people that or companies that try to implement e-voting systems, but mainly on a quick and dirty base. Best example was the e-voting system that was introduced in Germany a couple of years ago, where Chaos Computer Club hacked it in about a couple of hours and was able to drop in wrong votes and so on. Participation is also linked to trust in the security of the voting system, but also trust that the vote matters. And participation cannot be high if it's hard to participate. Sorry. We had also the question from the jury that e-voting might not be a good solution because we have a running system on paper and that's everything trusted. The problem is that people are not able to check the votes if the votes have been counted correctly. I mean, you have to trust that. The problem is that only political parties have the right to oppose a ballot or to appeal for a recount. A standard citizen is not able to do so. because it's not possible, it's not in the law. And additionally, we will cooperate with universities, with applied science, with security science, and so on. So the question on that will for the verification will be with them together to find a solution that we have a proper verification tool. The solution attacks the current possibility for smaller voting, for smaller elections, where you have to vote with Google Forms, voting as a service, and so on. So we allow politicians, political groups, governments, and local governments, associations, and anyone else to create a verifiable, secure vote in just a few clicks. Thanks to blockchain-based e-voting system, which handles back-end and front-end on authentication. The use of a public blockchain provides a secure infrastructure without relying on security by obscurity. And our system is secure, but also transparent, inexpensive, and convenient. We choose the blockchain also because in Austria, some of the assumptions were based on the Austrian situation currently, that we have here in Austria the law of cash registers, where a very tiny version of a chain is implemented in the cash register, that that it's not possible to alter any bills that have been created by the cash register that was created a couple of weeks or days or whatever ago, without breaking the chain. And that was the one of the part of the blockchain parts. And that was some of the thoughts on that. And I'll give over to Oscar, that he describes also a little bit more on the decision for Tezos blockchain in that area.
Thank you, Ondrej. You can move on to the next slide then. Okay, so what makes our system different is that, as mentioned in the previous slide, that there's still this notion that if you want to keep something private, if you want to have it be secure, then you have to hide it from the world. That if you're trying to keep your money private, then you have to put it under your mattress, for example, but and that was for a long time how the world works. But these days it's not so true anymore. And what we want to challenge is the idea that if a voting system has to guarantee privacy, anonymity, and also be secure, then it has to be, it cannot be transparent. It cannot be fully transparent, at least, which is what we have seen in the past, that, for example, on the paper-based voting system, you cannot track your vote. You don't know exactly what happens. You have to trust the system. And in implementations of e-voting that we've seen surface as well, what they have done traditionally is to hide some parts of their inner workings of the system. And for example, there have been examples of blockchain-based e-voting systems, but they were not public blockchains, they were private blockchains. And that does make it a lot easier to guarantee certain features that are mentioned here, like anonymity and non-coercibility. But just because it's easier doesn't mean that that is the only way to do it. And it is more challenging in the public environment, but thanks to modern cryptographic tools, it's far from impossible. And so what we want to do is offer a system which is both secure and convenient, but also transparent and affordable, so that it can be widely used. And to do this, we're also looking to collaborate with a group of researchers from ETH Zurich, EPFL, and the Bern University of Applied Sciences, who have been working on e-voting, and particularly on addressing those challenges of guaranteeing a certain list of necessary features of e-voting systems. And in addition to that, we have already access to a certain test bed within either student associations, so for student elections, or with political parties that Ondrej has been working with in Austria, who would be interested in using some kind of system like this, and which would give us the chance to test our system before moving on to our main target customers. And if you move on to the next slide, I'll then mention more about that, right? So here we list out kind of the stages of development of our project. And to begin with, we focus on student votes, not because we think that that's where the market is, but mainly because it's easier to get feedback from students. They're more open to new technologies and so on, and so they're more willing to test it. And so we've been working with them to develop our project. It's already been used for a vote at one university, and we plan on extending that and learning from each iteration until we build up to eventually working with municipalities, political parties, and then longer in the longer run with larger projects, and such as, for example, districts, county, and eventually national governments. And what's interesting here with the middle ground is that national governments are always going to hold elections in any case, regardless of what the system is, that they have to do it. So they will use whichever system is available to them, whatever the cost is and whatever the features are, because they have to. But for municipalities, for projects, infrastructure projects, or anything like that, where they want to have the public's opinion on what they're doing, currently it's not so easy to do so, and it would be too complicated for them to organize an actual vote on paper just to find out how they should spend public money, for example, within a certain town or something like that. But and if they try to do it electronically, then what we've seen is that, for example, in the case of Ondrej and his party, that they had to do it through Google Forms or Microsoft Forms or something like that to ask for their opinion. But then you have to check that each person voted only once, which you then have to do by hand because that tool is not equipped to do so by default. So what we want to do is provide essentially, the Google Forms of politics, that anyone can create a vote very easily to just ask for the public's opinion, to increase public participation, and that they can do so in a way which they know is secure and cheap and convenient and transparent. And we also list a few potential first customers that we've been in contact with at the bottom there. And then I will give it back to Ondrej for the next section.
And thank you so much, Ondrej. I'm just having a look at the time. If you could be precise and present some of the highlights, that would be highly appreciated from our side. Thank you.
Okay, I'll try to do so. Okay, so these are the numbers. I used, as mentioned already, that I go with the Austrian numbers. So the Austrian election cost in 2019 nationwide was about 15 million Swiss francs, which means a cost per voter of 2.41 Swiss francs. Here's some basic numbers I put on the maximum elections on governments and potential projects from what I have with our party already done in Koblach in Austria. So these are basic calculation and max calculations that we would see from that part. If we go to the blockchain election cost, we are here. Also from the input from the jury input, we added also a sales cost or personal cost. So with about 100,000 francs per person who's working in the project already. So when we split that up everything, we end up with blockchain election costs setup basically of 975, which is for every vote clear in the same part, and if we use this number as a basic outline number, we end up with about 2 Swiss francs on top of that. And if we go per vote, the cost per one vote is less than 1 cent, so it's 0.1 cents, 0.1 rappen, sorry. And if you go on for 100 voters, it's about 0.1 francs, and so on. It scales up to let's say 500,000 voters. We end up with real cost of less than 500 Swiss francs for a vote. And that's why we came up with the freemium model, where we have 4 steps for charging, which is one is free, one is basic, one is advanced, and one is enterprise. We have here also put on the votes per year for the free for all the 4 steps, and also voters per vote, and the target customer lists for that one, and also some rough estimation costs. So if we use a max cost per election of 11.85 for the free one, we have of course nothing to charge from the free ones, which is basically schools or small associations and so on. And this, if you go to a standard one with let's say a basic one, we end up with costs about 12 Swiss francs 74. If we charge 25 francs per election, we end up with yearly income with 13 elections from one customer with about 320 francs. If we do it from the calculation per voter, if we charge 0.03 francs per voter, we end up with 30 francs and so on. So that's that you end up with that cost. It sounds more it sounds heavily if you go with the voter parts, but if we keep it with the charge per election, it's much less than the current costs of paper voting. Also for you to know, the last one, the enterprise one, is based on 500,000 voters and 50 elections a year, whatever kind of elections we have or whatever kind of votes we have here.
Thank you, Ondrej. And I think you've mentioned that you will have a summary slide of the solution.
Mm-hmm. Yes, here it is, and I'll go give it over to Oscar.
Yeah, so to make the summary quick, as Ondrej mentioned in the beginning, that we think participation is based on trust in the system and also trust that the vote matters, which is why we want to enable just anyone to create more votes so that people can have a better sense of the impact that each of their votes is having. And to do so, we give governments or local governments, municipalities, anyone, the tools to create a vote extremely easily and very conveniently, and to know that it's secure, and that way they can get more involvement into their processes, whether it's political processes or other.
Thank you, Oscar. And thank you also, Ondrej, for your presentation and the glimpse that we got into the project. Obviously, there are many more areas that you've worked in. I'm just looking at the chat if there is any question for you. I can see, yes, I can see, Mulut, you have a question about the Estonia e-voting model. Are you with us still? Okay, if not, I'm just reading out the question. Did you look at the Estonia e-voting model based on an ID card, smart card to allow remote authentication and a public key infrastructure?
Yeah, I think the Estonian model is definitely extremely interesting, and it's also been shown already that using e-voting nationwide in Estonia has reduced the cost of their elections by about half, which is definitely interesting. And what we want to do is kind of expand on that without necessarily having to have a kind of a national system for identification. That obviously if you do have that with national ID cards and can authenticate people in that way, then that's very convenient. But we want to also expand the system to be used in cases where it's not so clear how to authenticate users. And you can do so in a variety of different ways, anywhere from just sending them an email and authenticating them through email to ID cards or anything like that.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other question? I'm really sorry, we're a little bit behind the schedule. We still have the third group to present. May I suggest the following? If you have a question, just please put it into a chat and we can do the follow-up afterwards. Kindly note that we have now time until the 7th of June when each group will present to the final jury and where the voting will happen. So still a little bit of time, and we can now, if I can see anything more happening in the chat, we can now move to the third group, which was followed by Leonie. The floor is yours.
Hello, yes, and thank you, Marianne. So now I will give over to the fourth group, Data Marketplace. They have spent the last month thinking about something that is very complex, but I think wanted by many. And we will have two speakers today. I will give the word first to Martina Richemann, who is here, and then Anam Hijab, and I will just immediately turn the mic over to you, Tina.
Thank you, Leonie. Thank you all. Hi. So let me just share my screen to show the presentation. So I'm welcoming you in this call, and let me present then, as Leonie said, the D-Souk data marketplace. And this project is coming out of the design thinking session that we had as an initiative from Geneva impACT that we thanks. But let's have and start by asking you a question. So how many of you struggle with chronic diseases or long COVID? And just show you the question, and you can raise your hands just to have some answer. And well, we don't have so much camera on, but and even I don't see hands which are raised. But well, I can understand this perfectly, because this is a question which is related, it's quite private and related to sensitive data. But let me then introduce Anna, which has also this struggling with this disease and her problem. So this is Anna. She has a chronic inflammatory gastrointestinal disease and needs reliefs and treatments. Anna is also affected by long COVID and lacks of reliefs and treatment. So on the other side, we have nutritional supply producer. They want to develop appropriate product to relieve such diseases. Also, research and health insurance, as example, are looking to understand the disease and to advance to contributing, providing, by example, treatment. But they lack accessing to data. So why do we not meet them on their common challenge and exchange data? And let me present then a solution that we think of to this problem. Also, Anna is not alone. So we have 322 people in Norway and 155 in Germany out of 100,000 which are suffering with the same chronic diseases issue. And
sorry, just 1 second. Could you share the presentation full screen? Does that work? It's just a bit easier to read.
Yeah. Let me.
Sorry for interrupting you.
No problem. I'm not sure if this will work.
Okay, then it's fine. Thank you for trying, though. You can, just go on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you see my screen? Sorry.
We do see a screen. It's just a bit small, but if it's not just, you can just go on. I thought that would be an easy presentation mode, but just sorry for interrupting you. You can just continue.
Okay, so I will go ahead. Okay, so I hope you can read that we are on the right page. Yeah. So not sure. I need to interrupt this because I guess you're not on the right page. Apologize for this technical issue. So I stop the presentation and I will restart. And so thank you for waiting. So then I'm just saying that yes, Anna is not alone with this disease, and also until 20% of COVID-19 patients are suffering with the same issue. So these are figures that we got from the task force. So because today no one provides neither truly relieving nutritional product nor long COVID relief to achieve sustainable health for Anna, to remediate this disease, and the related data are so sensitive, we propose D-Souk data marketplace. And let me just jump then to the unique value proposition of this data marketplace. So Anna, as a data provider, or other individual people can monetize their personal data, trading and exchanging in a protected ecosystem, all while contributing to a research project, for instance, they believe in or want to support. And company on the other side, data consumer, have access to a single effective advanced customer data collection hub with embedded advanced analytics to satisfy the customer needs. And let's just deep somewhat in what is D-Souk, okay? So D-Souk want to give data producer the chance to exchange their personal data for money to a project of their own choice. And the power is with the people. And D-Souk provides a multi-sided platform which acts as an intermediary between data provider and data consumer, allowing for a large amount of verified data to become accessible to data consumer in an unprecedented way. Using the privacy enhancing technology such as secure encryption, but also specific new emerging technology around this, ensuring cybersecurity and data protection. So we start the project by building a use case and for creating then an MVP. And why this data marketplace offering is so different for Anna. So this will contribute to science. Anna will be able to earn some extra money, and she will have a personal benefit to improve health problem, also her health problem. Also, inclusive public health make a massive positive social impact. And here it's related then to United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, number 3, 8, 9, 12, and 17, and potentially also 4. And then now let me introduce you or just meet the new healthy and happy Anna after this by using then the marketplace. And I hope you enjoy this session. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoy this journey, just join us. Thank you again. And you will find then the composition of team, the focus group 4, on the last slide of the presentation. The team is composed by Anam, Claudia, Camilla, Julia, and myself. Thank you. So over to you, Leonie.
Yes, thank you, Tina, and I will immediately give the mic over to Anam.
Okay, thank you so much. I have shared the screen and the link with Marianne, or should I share my own screen?
If you can share your own screen, that's easier.
Okay, let me do that. Okay, perfect. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes, we can do.
Okay, perfect. So let me see. Perfect. Yes. So thank you for the opportunity, everyone. There are some few familiar faces and some new ones. So I think what I will do is that I'll jump straight in. And this is a reenactment of a conversation between two family members. So I'm thanking Gabor for agreeing to help. Gabor,
Yes.
are you there?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. So guys, we will be introducing D-Souk, but from a different angle. And this is a conversation, like I said, between two family members. So we begin. Hi, Gabor.
Hi, Anam. How are you feeling?
I'm all right, but unfortunately, my disease that I'm suffering from right now needs a transplant. And I need my family members' health data for a donor match. So which is why I called you. Can you help me?
Yes, of course. How can I send my data?
Well, you can do it through this app. It's called D-Souk. It's basically a multi-sided transfer app where you can, you make your profile, you get onto it, and you can even earn money after you send your data to me.
Sounds simple. But why D-Souk?
Well, I was doing a lot of research and I found out that this app is very simple to use because it is actually made by ordinary people like you and me. And it is for people like us. So it is by the people for the people. So, and additionally, we can earn money from this whenever we transfer, and our data won't be stolen by bigger companies, which they usually do. Okay. So, and since we are both in different parts of the world, I think this will be easier for us to transfer our data as well.
Okay. So how does this work?
Well, I've been researching and I found out that the app has multiple uses. They're calling it big picture, but they have very specific information as well. They call it use case. But for you and me, I think the most important thing to know is that it works under 3 simple steps. First is that we download the app. Then we actually create a profile. And then we sign the consent form. We say, well, I agree to give my health data. And then we exchange the information. And the moment you send your information to me, you can select on my profile. And when I receive it, you automatically get a fair share of amount as well. And the good part, you can even choose to donate your data if you want to.
I see. Any sustainable impacts by D-Souk?
Yeah, apart from like having like a easy user interface and accessibility, one impact it has is that it helps like us family members like you and me to send you data to me conveniently, which I really need for my donor match. Secondly, it actually gives you the opportunity to earn a certain amount as well, in addition to helping a family member. And of course, thirdly, you are having a secure platform to exchange your data as well. So we're empowering a safer ecosystem. And with that said, Gabor, thank you so much. This was quite improv and you did fabulous. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So everyone, this was a reenactment of a conversation between two family members. Like you have seen before that the case was about a health data for long COVID. And in this particular, we were talking a conversation between two family members who had to transfer data for a chronic disease. Additionally, and through that, we went through the pitch. There are 2 important additional points that I'd like to highlight. First is that one of the major inspiration behind this app is called Minsund, which is a Danish health system app. and it is being used around by 6 million, almost 6 million Danish residents and 98 municipalities. This is just to give everyone an idea and perspective how big the volume is, how big the use possible case is. But of course, when the bigger the opportunity, bigger the risk and the challenges as well. This is a graph. Unfortunately, I think it's too small for everyone to see right now, but I will escape this mode to show everyone. But the biggest limitation which we Group 4 realize is that this is quite a complicated, big, giant mammoth of a project. But nonetheless, like I said again, bigger the opportunity, bigger the challenge. This is a small graph which compares the use of healthcare investments compared to by Denmark and within EU. And you can see that Denmark is on a very high scale of spending. So this is a project which would be quite financially, would require big investment, but at the same time, the data pooled and the possible use cases is quite phenomenal. With that, I rest the presentation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Anam, as well, and thank you, Tina. I think this was a great insight into Group 4, and I would like to open the floor for questions, at least a few, and I would just ask all of you if you have to leave because we're reaching the end of the session, please just post your questions in the chat because the group will profit from them later, even if we cannot discuss them here. So I will just give one question back to you, Tina and Anam. What is the competition for this app? I'm aware of similar projects, some using blockchain. Thank you. Who of you would like to try for an answer?
I can go on that. So yes, we have some kind of similar application and marketplace like this in the field of the financial services. Just in one subfield, we have identified until 500 application of that. Okay, but no one is really having this kind of complexity that we had and is dealing with personal data. So what we identify is really the need of this missing data, and to then support. This could be healthcare industry, this could be then also caring organization, this could be individual, which are really looking for having then a benefit of analyzed data and then proceeding to the research on new product, etc. So we haven't identified till date such an app, but we have some similar which are covering some kind of so coming up of the data.
Yeah, I can add to that. As you saw, like the example was of Minsud, the Danish public healthcare system app. So that could be one of the indirect competition. So let's look at this competition, look at it this way. One is the direct competition. A person, a venture who's providing the exact similar services. So far, we have not been able to recognize something exactly similar, simply because we are by the people for the people. While the Danish app, it is actually public sector. So it has a lot of funding from the Danish government and from other public sector agencies. But we are so far a commercial one. So these public apps within the Scandinavia, they could be one of our indirect competition.
Thank you for the answers, and I would suggest we have one more question for Group 4 by Mulat Kelif. What are the ethical issues that may arise with health data beyond the GDPR regulation? Thank you for the question.
That's a good question. Well, I think we are dealing with one of the most important commodity that people own, right? Especially after 2020, people have become quite sensitive with their health data, and we're seeing a lot of interesting debates right now. So in terms of governance and the bylaws, I mean, the most prominent act right now that we know of is GDPR. From what it looks like from the landscape, we should expect more stricter regulations, especially around health data. But when will it come? We don't know. I think any smart business venture person would know that, any smart business accountant would know that we should have like a cost associated for governance, and we don't know how that would look like financially. Otherwise, from a sheer ethical perspective, this is quite a big of a commitment. I guess it's very important that when we are dealing with such information, we maintain it transparent, which is why one of the very reasons we wanted to go against the bigger giants like Facebook and other social media who are misusing our data and information. I hope that satisfies. It's not a direct answer, but I hope that satisfies. It's not a direct answer, but I hope that satisfies.
Okay, I'm afraid we have reached the end of this evening. I can just encourage everyone during the short outro to just post more questions in the chat. But thank you so much to all 3 focus groups. I think this was very interesting, and I hope you all got some inspiration. I will give over to Marianne for the final words.
I think it will be Jörn, but thank you for putting me to spot there. But yeah, thank you to all the groups for your great presentation, Jörn.
Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for your moderation. The journey is not over yet. So what are the next steps? The groups have received feedback, quite substantial feedback from the jury, and they will refine their concepts according to the feedback. And on June 7th, we will have the jury verdict. The jury verdict is not public, so unfortunately you cannot participate, but you can celebrate with us. We will have a celebration on June 15 in Geneva, and we will invite you, and we will be happy to do that in person. We will also have a stream that people that cannot make it can have a little participation and share of what's happening, but it will be mostly in person. So if you are around in Geneva, please join us on June 15th. You will receive an invitation shortly. So thank you very much. Thank you for the groups for your great presentation. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your questions. Please feel free to send us more questions if you haven't had the chance to ask them. And connect to us via our websites, via our social media activities on LinkedIn and YouTube. We have quite a substantial YouTube channel now with a lot of presentations, impact talks, etc., available. So stay with us and have a nice evening.